Hi everyone, welcome back for lesson 4. Today we're going to learn something completely different, something you probably never heard of. So we're going to learn about culture. So deaf culture is different from other cultures. So I'll give you one example. So in hearing culture, it's rude to point. But in deaf culture, it's okay to point and you have to point to be able to communicate. So that's one difference. So since I am a hearing person, I cannot teach you deaf culture, but I can share with you the do's and don'ts of deaf culture. So my teacher, she teaches me ASL and all about deaf culture. I asked her, how can I teach deaf culture? Since I'm not deaf, how can I teach it in a way everyone can understand? So she said you can do the do's and don'ts. So the first do is use facial expressions. So we haven't talked too much about this, but if you're saying a sign like what, you have to put your eyebrows down. So those are facial expressions, or you're interested in it, like your shoulders kind of pop forward and your eyes get a little bigger. When you're trying to get a deaf person's attention, you don't want to like slant them on the shoulder. You just want to like do a like tap, or like just do like tap tap, or like if they're farther away from you and you're on a carpet floor, you can like stomp on the ground, or you can flicker the lights one on and one off. So I'll show you with this light too, on off, and then they can like look up and see that they want your attention. You say deaf, so this is the sign for deaf. So you take your pointer finger, you put it on your ear, and then you move to your mouth. So do you remember the sign for home? Your lips to your ear. So this is the opposite way. So ear to your mouth. All right. So you say deaf or hard of hearing. So hard of hearing is a little different from deaf. Hard of hearing usually can hear a little bit more than deaf people, but it's all part of the same culture and group. So you don't want to ever say hearing impaired or deaf and dumb, because those are old terms that we don't use anymore. And in this day, we use deaf and hard of hearing. And another thing, you want to maintain eye contact with them. See how I'm looking right into the camera right now? So if we were face to face, I would be looking right at your face. And you don't see me like looking around and signing, because that just like gives a sense that you're bored, and it's also disrespectful, and you want to like look at the person. You just want to look at them, or like look at what they're signing. This is the last do, and then we'll move on to the don'ts. Okay? So it is okay to walk in between people signing. So if I'm signing right here and somebody's signing all the way across the room or a few feet in front of me, it's okay if you walk through that. You don't have to worry about like walking around them. You don't have to worry about crouching down. It's more distracting if you like crouch down rather than just like walking straight through. All right, these are the don'ts. This is what you don't want to do. This is kind of considered rude or disrespectful. So don't ask if they can read your lips, because it's just not very polite. And there's other ways to communicate with sign language, or if you're not understanding that, then you can ask them to write a note. Don't grab them by the shoulder. Remember I told you about the tap? Just tap them on the shoulder lightly. Don't like grab them by the shoulder and like turn them around, just like a little tap. If you are in a like group of people and like one person's deaf and there's the interpreter and you're talking to the deaf person, don't say to the interpreter, tell him or her, because that's like talking to them like they're not there. Don't grab the hands of a deaf person. So if I'm signing and somebody grabs my hand, that's like somebody covering your mouth. So this is my last don't. So don't intentionally hide a conversation from a deaf person. A lot of deaf people like feel left out of conversations because they don't know what's going on, especially if no one's signing in the room. So if you and your friend are talking and a deaf person walks in the room, you should start signing a little bit. So like if I am talking to one of my friends and a deaf person walks in the room, I start signing, so this way the deaf person can understand. So I'll show you the first sign again. So the first sign was hearing, right? So you take your index finger and you just make a circle by your lips. The next sign is deaf. So from your ear to your mouth, I already showed you this one with your index finger, deaf. And then this one is culture. So you make a C with your hand, you make the C shape, you make the C shape, and you take the pointer finger, culture, and you just wrap it around, culture, culture, culture. Okay? And then the fourth sign is hard of hearing. So you take an H and you just tap it, hard of hearing.